Okay people, it's happening. It is time to polish the E36. We're ready to go. Everything's together. I'm super stoked. So we're just going to start decon wash today. I've got this weekend to do it. So we'll decon wash it tonight, let it dry in the garage overnight, and then get stuck into the wet sanding and polishing and coating over the weekend. Super excited. This is going to be so good, but let's start off with rinsing her off and we'll get cracking. I'm really just looking forward to rinsing this off and just seeing the water bead off it, you know. There's nothing better than that. Now, for those of you that have been following along with this E36, you would know that maybe 4 months ago we decon washed it then. It has been sitting in the garage. I mean, we've worked on it while we're taking off the bumpers and things. So yeah, the fact that it's been worked on, it's been sitting in the garage. Once we fitted all the bumpers last week, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been on a few spirited drives since then, as you'd expect. And so, whilst the paint's probably not too bad, gonna go over it tonight just to basically tick the box, make sure that all the paint is as clean as possible, because, you know, I'm basically going to spend all weekend on this, so I might as well make it good. I'm not going to touch the wheels because these wheels are banged up and I love them, but they're rips, so at some point we'll replace them, but right now focus is on the exterior, and we'll get to the wheels at some point, but basically going to leave them out of this. We're not going to touch them. We're not going to touch them in this series. But we'll give them a good rinse just to mean they don't have dirt going everywhere when we're trying to polish this thing. But yeah, God, I'm super excited for this. Like, this car's I mean, it already looks mean, but God, it's gonna look good once it's super shiny and coated, man. Fizzing. Right, now that she's rinsed, let's just bring her over here. I mean, Trudy looks pretty good. Love the shape. Such a good shape of this, the E36. It's so good. Okay, because we're doing a decon wash, we're going to top up our GSF with a bit of Green Star just to give it a bit more power. Again, this car is pretty clean, so it's not too bad. But you know, any wax or grime that have been on the car while it's been in storage, this will just help us on our way. So about 50 mils of Green Star. Nah, we're going to do about 75 of GSF.
fill it with water, and we'll be laughing. Beautiful. Still love the smell of this GSF. It smells fantastic. Go fill this up with some water. Yeah, so I've been driving this car a few times over the last couple of weeks, and it's just a lot of fun. Like, it's not super quick, but it's fast enough. You can rip through the gears nicely. It has been, I mean, you can see I basically, with it sitting in that garage for the last 4 months and me not being able to do anything, waiting for the panels to be painted and things, I've gone through and basically touched up any stone chips. So if you see on the bonnet here with a couple of wet sanding marks, that's just from the stone chips that I've repaired, which, hey, by the time we wet sand the whole car, it's all going to be, you're not going to notice anyway. So we'll just foam this down, leave it a few minutes to dwell, and yeah.
Going to be pretty liberal with this. Give it a good coating, ideally just so it sits on the paint for as long as possible before ripping off. Just going to break down as much gunk off as we can. And I'm telling you, you've even got this set up. This just makes life so easy. I've been, in the background, I've been working on a pressure washing setup that I'm pretty excited about, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. It's actually taken a ton of research. Just like, you can find all the bits, but they're all just, they're not in one place. So I've been working on that recently and starting to make some good progress. So once that's all underway, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now while that's ripping off, where we took all the trims off, it's still pretty dirty in there, so I'm just going to go around while it's doing its thing, while it's slowly dripping off the car, and just go around and give all these areas a bit of a clean, because with the detail brush, because it is pretty dirty in here. And again, we want to make this as clean as we can, so we're not going to deal with any dirt come time to get the polisher out. So all these little cracks and crevices, we're just going to give a nail, all the joins basically, to get this as clean as we can. See all the seams. Seeing as we'll be waiting anyway for this foam to do its work, we might as well get in here and do this while we're waiting. Just basically nailing all the rubber seams, all the trim around the head, around the tail lights, anywhere where that dirt can just be hanging out that we won't have a chance to get to with our wash pad. Especially around the trim on the front and rear bumpers. A lot of dirt was hanging out in there, so this will just give it a good blowout. And then we'll attack it in our contact wash. So you can see I'm doing this late in the evening now. The sun's coming down perfectly, so there's no heat on the car, there's not a direct sunlight. It's allowing me to spend a lot of time to do this without worrying about. Now if I'm just using GSF, it's not the end of the world, you still don't want to do it in the heat of the day.
But as soon as we add green star to the mix, it's nice to be able to get this done in the evening. It's nice and cool. We're in May here now in New Zealand, so it's actually, you know, it's pretty cool. So this is perfect time to do this. Right. Perfect, it's been sitting there with our headphones been sitting long enough now, so we'll start our contact wash. Got our big red mitt. Now, although this car is still pretty scratched up, and yeah, so although this car is pretty scratched up, we're still going to want to do the 2 bucket method. I mean, any scratches we can avoid now when we're washing it, even though it's just a wash, the better will be. No point in putting scratches in that we didn't actually need to put in to get the job done. So we'll still do our exact same method that we would be if we were washing a normal, just doing a normal wash, switching over regularly. Using both buckets. You'll notice when you do add the green star that like the suds is a lot slipperier, but a lot more sort of, I guess it does feel alkaline. If you remember, I guess, chemistry class at school, all your alkaline stuff was like really slippery. Well, I mean, this is the same. Definitely feels slipperier, but just shows us that it's got a bit more cutting action. It's gonna nail that the grease and do it a bit better, which is what we're trying to achieve here. Especially because this car doesn't have any protection. It's not coated, doesn't have a wax, so it's really just bare paint. So anything that's there is going to be there pretty heavily. One thing with this car is we're not going to do the boot. Took the spoiler off a while back now. Discovered a bit of rust in the boot itself, like on where they'd screwed the spoiler in. Got me thinking we're definitely going to change the spoiler. I'm not sure what to. So jump in the comments. Let me know what spoiler. Give me some ideas. Probably going to end up going like an LTW rep wing, because they look pretty cool, like the old, if you're European, the GT wing. But I am an R about it. I have my moments. Some days I'm like, yeah, that's the spoiler. It looks so good, and others I'm like, they want something a little bit low key. I mean, could go the LTW without the risers, but I think it looks a little weird. I think it's either LTW with the risers or no LTW, something else. So let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'd love your input, and we can work on trying to track something down. All right, we're getting through it. I'm gonna finish the rest of the car, and we'll see when we get to the iron removal step. Okay, next step we're using Capra Inex. Now, I've just rinsed the car off after a contact wash. If I knew the car had a huge amount of iron on it, I would probably dry it just to give this a bit more. It wouldn't be diluted by the water that's on the car already. Because I know that this car isn't too bad, it's going to be fine. Generally, if you know your car's okay, just do it like this, you're fine. If you feel like your car has a lot of iron contamination, then dry it first, then do it. But we're going to be totally fine to do this. We're just going to spray the whole car down, basically giving it all a nice sort of even coat of the Iron-X. You'll love the smell of this stuff too. It reeks. Sarcasm there. But yeah, we're just basically going to cover the whole car with this, and you'll basically see any iron. You'll see it react with any iron that's on the paint. You'll see it basically turning purple and sort of basically it eats it away. Again, with this stuff, you don't want it to dry on the paint. Basically, like our whole process here, we don't want any of the chemicals we're using to dry on it. So doing it in the evening like this, great way to go. If you are sort of your hobbyist guy and you want to polish your car over a weekend, great way to go. Get home early on the Friday, start the process on the Friday night. I mean, know that you're going to basically be writing off your whole weekend doing it because it takes forever. But if you can smash it out in one hit by going decon Friday night, polish the car on Friday, coat the car on Sunday, you're winning. I mean, you'll be pretty stuffed by the end of it because it's a big job, but the rewards are awesome. So you can see I'm going pretty heavily, basically spraying down every panel. You're basically going to use about 3/4 of this, so that gives you a good indication of how much you should be using. About 3. This is a liter bottle, so you're using about 750 mils, and basically just going ham. You probably won't see any iron come off this. One, because of the color of the paint being black, it's pretty hard to see any reactions. But then also, as you know, this car is pretty clean already, scratched and marred, but clean. All right, so basically we're almost there. And we'll leave it for a couple of minutes and then rinse it off. Okay, we're just going to leave it for a couple of minutes. I can't see it doing much. It's been on this for a bit. Oh yeah, there's a little bit. You probably won't be able to see this, but there's a little bit on there. So I mean, that shows you how, even though this has been done 4 months ago, basically sat in the garage, been on a couple of drives, you can see how important it is to, if you has been waiting for that long, just to do a decon wash just in case. So if you see here, let's see what we can find. Where are we? Yeah. So there's one there. You can see a little piece of iron that's taken away. Again, there's not much, but still, even the little pieces, those bits of iron. If you can imagine, those bits of iron are in the atmosphere. They're from brakes, they're from trains, they're from all that kind of stuff. Your clear coat of your paint is actually, whilst it might look really smooth, there's actually under a microscope is really jagged, and so those little bits of iron come along and they get stuck in that rough surface of the clear coat, and the only way to get them out is by basically dissolving them, which is what this is doing. If you went to do that and the polishing powder comes along, it's going to pick those up and just bring it around the paint, and if you have any issues with marring, probably because there's, well, one of the potential reasons is because there's iron in the paint that's getting picked up by the pads. So this has been sitting now for a couple of minutes. We're going to rinse it all off and then move on to the clay. So when rinsing, because it's got that Iron-X, we want to do a good job to make sure all that Iron-X is gone. So don't be afraid, just take your time and really give it a good rinse. Get rid of all that Iron-X. Okay, now on to the clay bar. So again, if you've seen me do this before, rather than the traditional clay bar, I like using this basically foam clay block. Rather than clay, it's got basically the rubber on the other side. Worst thing with clay is that if you drop it, it's game over. You can't use it again. It will pick up stones. When this, you basically can use this 100 times. It does a great job. You can feel it, same as you can with clay, where it makes that paint very nice and smooth. Then yeah, it's pretty cheap and it lasts for ages. For my clay lube, I like using Ultimate No Rinse. So we've got that. I've diluted it in here, about 32:1. So we're going to spray it down as our lube. Get stuck into this. And looking at that, out of nowhere, it looks like it's going to rain. So we might have to pull the car inside for this, but check that out. Whoops, it could be getting wet. Let's try to race through this as fast as I can while we stay dry. And no, you know what? I want to make a call. We're going to pull the car in. We're about to get wet. I mean, god damn it. The weather this year has been ridiculous. It has been, it literally would rain 5 days out of 7 during the week. And that was like the whole, like it's the end of summer now, but that was like the whole summertime. Oh well, you gotta live with the punches. Okay, this isn't our ideal scenario, but we're just gonna have to do our best. I mean, it's really no problem to do this inside. Would have been nicer outside because you can rinse it off afterwards, but we'll just be pretending we're doing a rinseless wash. Right. So basically, with these, this one's been used a few times, so it's not the end of the world, but if it is your first time, you want to do it on the glass first. So you do want to decon the glass anyway, you do want to clay the glass, because we are going to polish that, and it does make it super nice and clean, which is great. But yeah, start on the glass first. I basically like spraying down the area. You can be pretty liberal with this. A few squirts on the clay block, and then just go to town. You can see, you can be pretty quick about it, really get in there. You won't feel too much on the glass, but it's when it's on the paint you'll really feel the work. But yeah, you can be nice and fast. Don't have to be too careful. It's not really going to mar the paint, if you know, especially because we've done our iron removal and using the Green Star in the wash. It's going to be in pretty good shape. So basically, I'm going to go finish the rest of the glass. Come back when we start the paint. Okay, that's all the glass done. So now working on the paint. Again, typically, yeah, this paint isn't too bad. It's pretty smooth, but best thing to do is if you can run your hand over the paint, you'll feel little lumps and little jagged pieces. That's what this clay is going to remove. So same as the glass. Now we're basically, especially if this is new, we've embedded it in, kind of taken off that really abrasive stuff, which can happen when these are brand new. Again, we're just going to spray a decent sized area down, a couple of sprays on there, and then go to town. Again, you can actually feel a little bit on this, so that's pretty good, but you'll basically be able to feel it where it goes from rough to smooth. So this, and that little area there, yeah, so there is a bit of a difference between freshly clayed and not clayed, so that's the idea. Again, same as the glass, you're just basically going to go nice and fast. You can smash this out pretty quick, and we'll go through the whole car. Now, there are some people still on the side of clay bars, when, hey, I believe this does just as much of a job, same job, and it's super easy, it's way faster. You get the car done in half the time, so if you're a detailing business, this is seriously legit because you're saving hours. And it also does a great job. Like, you can literally feel the difference of freshly clayed versus, yeah, naked paint. The same you would in a clay bar. So, in my opinion, these little guys are rock stars. Because you can rip through it, as you can see, you can rip through it real quick. Again, they're gentle enough to not introduce much marring into your paint. That means you can really get stuck in. Again, I'm going to rip through the rest of the car, and then we'll see you at the end to sum up the video. Righto, fast forward half an hour. We finished clay barring the car inside the garage, and it poured down, like it just, and now it's beautifully sunny and fine, so we're just gonna brought the car back outside, fully rinsed it off. Now we'll dry it, and that'll be us for the day. Yeah, super excited. You'll feel that now that the car's like fully, like it's just raw paint, there's nothing, no contaminants, nothing. This towel just wants to stick to it. When your car is coated or nicely waxed or has a protectant on it, this towel will just like glide off. But now it really wants to stick to the paint because there's nothing really there protecting it, it's just naked paint. As you can see, it still does a wicked job of drying it though. This is these, if you haven't got one of these towels already, get one because they're just a game changer. They're so good. Seriously good. It'll change your life. Maybe not, but as close as a drying towel can change your life, this is it. Okay, as I was drying the car, must have bumped the mic, and the mic turned off. So rather than you just watch, be in mute, dry down the rest of the car, we'll finish up the video there. Hey, this hopefully will be the last time you'll see me sitting on this car, because once she's polished and coated, there's no way that's happening. So that's going to do us for the day. You can see it's the evening now, it's all dark outside. We'll come back in the morning after this is dried overnight, get stuck, and tomorrow's going to be a big day of wet sanding and polishing. Now, I haven't spent too much time wet sanding before. I've done little areas here and there, but nothing too extensive. So we're not going to go too heavy on that tomorrow, but it'll be a good experience to do a whole car, which I've never done before. So stay tuned, look out probably tomorrow for the next video of be wet sanding and polishing. So stay tuned, look forward to seeing you there, and I'm going to get a good night's sleep because tomorrow's going to be a big one. See you then.